सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणाम् मुमुक्षोऽनामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। Hari Om everybody, welcome. So today's topic is the last step. Last step towards what? That we'll discuss next class. But we'll discuss the last step first, towards the higher state of realization. Very famous topic. It could have been named meditation, dhyana, because that's what sells nowadays, the name meditation. Hardly anybody knows what is meditation, but yet quite a lot of them practice in the name of meditation. Meditation and yoga have become the two most important aspects of one's spiritual evolution. So all over India and the world, there are a lot of yoga classes and there are a lot of meditation techniques taught. These are just the prerequisites. The yoga classes is done to keep fit the physical body. Meditation is the penultimate state of self-realization. So we already covered Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. And we finished, at least theoretically, we have completed Karma Yoga by doing selfless activities, where activities you do wherever you want, but with an attitude of service and sacrifice, doing justice to the God-given talent, what you have is Karma Yoga. Yoga means yuj, to unite. So using the physical body's karma to unite with the self. So if you analyze, it is Karma Yoga, an attempt to use the physical body to find out the self. Bhakti Yoga, an attempt for the mind to find out the self. Jnana Yoga, the attempt of the intellect to find the self. These are the three attempts to be required, as I told you initially too. Then the subsequent, so Bhakti Yoga is passion, impassioned activities, following your passion to the best of the ability without thinking about what's going to come. Jnana Yoga builds the direction of where you want to reach. Each and every action has all the three these things combined, karma, bhakti, and jnana. So no yoga is lesser or more than the other. I keep on repeating it because there is a competition going on where everybody says karma is better than bhakti or jnana is better. Nothing is better, nothing is worse. All the three yogas, people who compare these three yogas are considered in the Bhagavad Gita as balaha, children. It's like children talking about toffees and toys. There is no comparison there. Subsequent is Uparati. It is not Uparati Yoga. Then it is Uparati is the withdrawal of the mind naturally. Then Dharana, it is not Dharana Yoga. So the attempts stop in Karma, Bhakti and Jnana. So majority of people start with yoga, physical exercises, because it is easier to do. And then directly they jump to dhyana, meditation. When you are trying to become a doctor, I assume that's the method. You do first year, second year, third year, then fourth year, then I think so it is internship, and then you become a doctor. So if you can repeat with me, I can't hear you, but I'm assuming that you'll repeat it me. So repeat with me. To become a doctor, you have to do first year, second year, third year, fourth year, internship, and doctor. Again, to become a doctor, we need to do first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth internship, and then doctor. Right? So without internship, you can't become a doctor. Without internship, you can't become a doctor. You can do first year, second year, third year, fourth year. But if you don't do internship, you drop yourself there, you cannot become a doctor. So repeat after me. Without internship, you can't become a doctor. Without internship, you can't become a doctor. Without internship, you can't become a doctor. Therefore, majority of people who want to become doctors, they are just doing internship. This is exactly what's happening with dhyana, meditation. You have to do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. You will slip into the fourth state of uparati and dharana, and then you will become a doctor. So uparati will be the fourth state, internship dharana will be the fifth state, and dhyana is the sixth state. You become a doctor. Without internship, without dhyana being the internship, you can't reach self-realization. So first year, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, 3 years done. Fourth year, uparati and dharana. Fifth, internship, meditation, and then you reach the state of self-realization. People are directly jumping into becoming dhyana. So because it's easy, what you have to do, sit with your eyes closed. There is a procedural detail, I'll explain to you. Sit with your eyes closed, chant some name, or watch the thoughts go by. Don't get involved in those thoughts. Let the thoughts pass, and eventually you will find peace of mind. And you find peace for that 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You feel so happy, so relaxed, so mentally stable and calm. And you open your eyes and you see the same husband. You see the same mother-in-law. You see the same mother, brother, wife, sister, and all the problems what you had 15 minutes before comes rushing back. That becomes an escape route. So you never really recover or deal with the problems. You're just sitting with your eyes closed, like a pigeon sitting with his eyes closed, though it sees the cat is there around the corner. It just sits, because once I close my eyes, there are no problems. It's not that. You need to do meditation. In fact, you don't need to do meditation. None of these states of uparati, dharana, and meditation you need to do. It happens. So focus on the first year, karma. Nobody does these 3 yogas because that is difficult. The difficult is that the easier is dhyana and yoga. So we start with yoga, we end with dhyana. And the worst thing is when you start doing meditation, there are people doing hours and hours and hours, 4 years, 5 years, 6 hours. And the more you do meditation, the more you feel you are spiritually evolved. How do you know? Because as soon as you open your eyes, you feel you have a halo around your head, and you look at everybody. You cannot contact with your own wife, your own children, your own parents. You can't contact anybody, and now they look as if they are very gross. They can't reach your level of thinking. So you are actually imprisoned in your self-created bubble, where you are not interacting with anybody. You don't allow anybody to interact with you, and you consider yourself much superior than everybody else. So there is no further knowledge to be given to you. This is the problem of dhyana. And people all around the world are hawking this as a spiritual evolution. Just do meditation, just do meditation. What are you going to gain out of meditation? First of all, find out what you are going to gain. In our personal life, including our teacher, I never thought that we would sit and meditate. There is no use to sit and meditate. You don't need to. A system is called an open eye meditation, where you look around, you see divinity everywhere. First, do the sadhanas. Once you do the sadhanas, you become mentally equanimous. Then automatically you will not feel like getting involved with the world much. Wherever is required, you'll do. Where it's not required, you shrug your shoulders and keep quiet. You value, see, when you are not a spiritual person, you value money, you value properties, you value relationships, you value every aspect that the world has to offer to you. That's what is called an extroverted person. As soon as you start becoming introvert, you start becoming a spiritual, so-called evolving person, then the focus is, my peace of mind is at this range. That cannot be compromised under any circumstances. My sense of values of harmlessness, adveshta sarva bhutanam, honesty, every aspect of values, good values of no corruption, being honest, dealing in your life, and living a happy, easygoing life, nice life, perhaps more productive than what it was before, but a nice life. That attitude is called an introverted attitude. Now, the paramount aspect of your life is happiness. You are not going to compromise on your happiness ever, come what may. So the difference between a normal person and a spiritual person is, a normal person is happy only when situations are all right. Like Mahatma Gandhi put it beautifully, any fool can find Shanti in Shanti, but it takes a wise one to find Shanti in Ashanti. So the more spiritual you are, the more you do the yogas, you are not compromising on your happiness, internal state of happiness, because you are not compromising on the higher values of life. So karma, bhakti, jnana is done. Jnana is the demarcation of what is real, what is unreal. What is unreal, I will not go for it anymore because it's temporary. What is real, I will pursue. Uparati, withdrawal from the world, withdrawal from the own agitations, self-created by my mind. Dharana, with consistency of effort, doing any particular action which will take me to the higher, without any kind of deviation, is dharana. Then you enter automatically into the state of samadhi. Dhyana. Dhyana becomes easy to you. You don't sit and meditate. You actually become meditative. When you become meditative, when you are doing the journey, every time your mind will naturally go towards the higher. Focus will always be to how can I better myself as a human being. It cannot be for anything else. So meditation is not what people talk about. When you have a lot of desires in you, you cannot meditate. As simple as that. There will be a lot of thoughts coming into your head, you can't meditate. Just as when there is a lot of load in an aeroplane, it can't take off. Therefore, a minimum baggage is kept. 5 kilos, 15 kilos, 20 kilos, that minimum baggage is only with that baggage, with said amount of passengers, can the flight take off. So all the baggages, all the desires have dropped off. Now you are entering into the state of meditation. Majority of the self-conceived desires of this is what I want to do, I want this is what is going to make me more happy if I gain this from the world, all those desires have dropped off. Now you are contented with a little bit of desires here and there. That's it. Maybe 5, 6, 10. With that kind of a desire, then wherever you are, sitting anywhere, you don't need to sit in a temple or a church or a mosque, anywhere, it is a prayer time for you. Then meditation technically is defined as a single pointed concentration on a particular thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts under the constant supervision of your intellect. Meditation is a single pointed concentration on a particular thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts under the constant supervision of one's intellect. So you are constantly, so all the preparedness what you did is to reach this state. Every aspect, it's like exactly running a marathon. When they say I want to take and run a marathon, it can be a 42-kilometer marathon or a 21-kilometer. You can't just get up and say I want to run. You will collapse. That's what happens to a lot of people. There is a procedure to even walk. You can go to YouTube and find out what is the right way of walking for exercises. Not like an elephant walking, you know. It's a proper procedure. What is the right way to run? When I'm running, should I run on my heel? Should I run on my toe? Or should the portion come in between? How much should I run? When should the heart? Every aspect is technical. And when you say, I want to run a marathon, you start the practice 6 months, perhaps 8 months before the thing, before the event. So karma, bhakti, jnana, all these are the preparations of one's mind to get introverted, not get involved in the world. Now you are sitting in a place, the mind doesn't go anywhere. Whatever is happening around you, it just doesn't agitate you. A majority of the people about this coronavirus also saying, quite a lot of it is a play of mind. Don't panic. Nothing will happen to you. Banish the thought from the head that there is any disease anywhere. But no, I would like to self-hypnotize myself that there is a lot of things happening and it's a very dangerous situation. And the more in the hypnotic trance I am, by constantly listening to the same news, the more I get affected, the more I am afraid, and then I will fall sick. Because of that, I'm not saying the disease is not there. I'm not minusculing that. Please don't get me wrong. I am saying 90% or 80%, it's just your mind functioning. So cut off that. Prepare your, this time is given for preparing. Prepare yourself. For these 4 months, These 5 months, use each and every day so that mentally, physically, you become stronger so that you may exist for another 10, 15, 20, 50 years ahead. Nature has given this time for preparation. Now don't panic here. So similarly, marathon, you do all the practice and at that end, you start running. It becomes easy. This is what meditation is. You close your eyes or you open, you see divinity everywhere. Anybody says anything to you, it just does not matter anymore because you have put your happiness at a great premium. I know what my value is as a human being. I don't need to let the world tell me how valueless or valueful I am. I don't need to. I know what is my value. This attitude. If you ask the world, hello, how much do you value me? Your value will be zero. In one of the Hindi movies, I don't remember when, I used to see long time back, there was this dialogue where this hero is told by somebody that your value is zero. तेरा कोई मोल ही नहीं है. So in Hindi, is तेरा कोई मोल ही नहीं. And the hero gets so dejected. Everybody is right. People around me are saying तेरा कोई मोल ही नहीं है. So the girl comes whom she loves, and the girl comes and says, but they are right, right? तेरा तो कोई मोल ही नहीं है, क्योंकि तू अनमोल है. So immediately the hero looks and says, correct. मैं अनमोल हूं. I am a priceless commodity. How can you put a price on a priceless commodity? Value yourself. The piece which I value is right here. The rest all can be compromised. I will not take a single word from anybody which is going to agitate me. Even if they say something about me, I will analyze whether it is the truth or not. If it is not the truth, the great Lord, Bhagavana, Ishvara, nature has given something wonderful to you. These 2 beautiful years. Whatever junk passes through, it should, there is a filter right in between. There was a diagram. I don't know whether I showed you the diagram. So I have drawn a ear. There is a filter in between and the passage goes up and goes to the other ear. Filters 80% of the junk, 90% of the junk which is exposed to the society. The intellect says, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't, it just throws it away the other ear. There is a lovely channel. Any junk, let it pass, let it pass. Why are you listening to other people's complain about who you are? Don't you know who you are? Let it pass. And what needs to be analyzed, let the intellect think about it. Acha, this criticism, is it valid? Maybe I have to think about it. And if you think the other person is saying, you are very selfish, you are selfish, you think about it. Am I selfish? Am I living a selfish life? What is the last unselfish deed I have done? When was the last time I thought about somebody else rather than what is happening to me? It's been a long time. The focus largely for the past 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever, has been, look what's happening to me. Look what's, I have become selfish. So I need to change the track from selfish, thinking about what I am getting, to what can I contribute, what can I do for anybody else who is not provided for. And mentally, you thank that other person for insulting you. I'm saying mentally because if you do it physically, he'll keep on insulting you. Mentally say, thank you very much and move on. Then you come to a state where single pointed focus. Now when you are focusing, closing your eyes, the mind is not going anywhere. It's still what we call Savikalpa Samadhi. Meditation is there, you close your eyes and then you start chanting. There are chanting classes going on. You don't need to join any class. There are chanting 50 people. Oh, so I heard them. They called me once for a class. All of them sitting and, oh. And then they look at each other because that should grow longer than the other person. Then it becomes a race. Oh. It's not a race. It's just a communication of you with your own higher self, which is within you. So you don't need to race with the society. Whose Om chanting is better, that Om is correct, or this Om is, it's stupidity. Once Moses heard that there were these 3 shepherds sitting on top, herding their sheep. Consider that they were all 3 people were very spiritual. So Moses heard. So Moses thought, my God, they are so spiritual, I should go and meet them. So he walked all the way to the village. In the village, they said all the 3 are sitting on a hilltop. So he went on top of the hilltop. He saw these 3 people, simple, nothing on top, one banyan and some shorts or something. They're sitting like this with a stick in their hand. All 3 are sitting together. Goats and sheep are there around. And Moses comes and says, I heard you are a very spiritual people, all 3. No, we are not spiritual. We are just simple people living our life. Acha, acha. Do you know how to pray? He says, we just pray, we just say something. I want to know what you pray. Can you tell me what you pray? So in Christianity also, like Hinduism, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, in Christianity also, there are these 3 aspects of Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Right? So the 3 people are sitting and they are very ashamed. No, Moses is saying with his stick and all the robes, I want to listen to what your prayer is. So all the 3 look at each other, they close their eyes and says, we are 3, you are 3, take care of us. That is the prayer. We are 3, you are 3, take care of us. Moses looked and said, this is not a prayer. Who taught you this? No, we just came up. This is not a proper prayer. There are methods of proper prayer. You have to say it properly. Hallowed be thy kingdom, thy will be done as on earth, as on heaven. Forgive us for, all those things are there. You have to, and he started teaching them how to pray. And they were so good students, so keen that they were learning the thing very nicely. But since they were uneducated, ignorant, the words were very big. Forgive us for they do not know what they do. And all those words are very, very difficult. So they said, so what is that? What is that? And they tried to, ultimately they managed to do it. Moses said, now their communication is perfect. Now the great Lord will listen to them. And he went down, he said bye-bye. He took a boat and he moved in the boat to the neighboring shore. As he was sitting in the boat, looking around, he heard some noise. Patch, 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 patch. He heard a noise. He saw behind, one of the fellow was running on water to him. He is in a boat. From behind this person, farmer is running on water. And he came before, bowed to Moses and said, I'm sorry, could you just repeat that last line? We could not get it properly. Therefore I came. Moses looked at him standing on water. He said, your prayer is greater than mine. Don't go into comparisons. There is no Om better. There is no, which chant do you do? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Shivaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Or just Om. Whatever suits your personality. Pick up a chant. If you don't know which chant and you are confused, ask a guru. Why they are saying ask a teacher is because he will say some chant which will be definite. There is no discussion after that. So if I say, but Om is also better, but Om Namo Shiva is very close to me, but Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is Prahlada's chant and it will be very, very good for me. You are confused between the two, ask the teacher. Teacher will give you something. So you start chanting. Om. 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 This is meditation in its first step. From here on, there is another verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 53, about what happens after meditation. In the subsequent class, we will decide how to have meditation, because you can have just close your eyes and say Om Om, or you can have a japamala and do japa, counting the beads 108 times. I will explain this to you the next class. So we'll have a part 2 because it's a great subject. And then we move on to the last, samadhi. So next class again will be dhyana. I will tell you how to be procedural details, how to sit, how to think, what happens then to propel you to the highest state of reality, to introduce you to the most important person ever in your life, your own self. We'll continue next time. Hari Om.